Hello, hello. It's your astrologer friend Kimberly here, and the view is very grainy. I'm so sorry. It's a rainy evening in Tokyo. Can hear some noises outside the window. It's a rainy evening in Tokyo, but I'm coming to you. So sorry about the visibility on the screen. It's a little bit fuzzy, but we're here anyway, showing up. And it's the solar eclipse. It's time for the Virgo solar eclipse. So I'm coming to you to digest that new moon moment. So let's get into it. Let's share the screen and have a look together at what this particular new moon is saying. And I'd like to also, first off the bat, say that there is no corresponding full moon for this new moon. So usually we'd look 18 months ahead to see how the new moon is coming to fruition with a full moon that closely corresponds. But no, 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 there is no full moon in Virgo. We've the it would be a full moon in Libra. It would be a full moon in Libra. Anyway, no full moon, no Virgo full moon. However, this is the second consecutive Virgo new moon, and the one in 18 months' time or 17 months' time is at the initial degrees of Virgo, so it corresponds to that one. So no need to manifest, A, because it's an eclipse, and B, because there is no fruition moment for this one. So it's time to lay low. It is time to just rest, digest. I have a new pair of pajamas, and there is a new TV show that I want to watch called Black Rabbit. So I am going to be resting after I do this little video for you. And yeah, that's my recommendation. Take it easy. This has been an intense 2 week period. I'm going to touch on some bits as we go around the chart. But I just want to, from my heart, just impart this moment that we can all just take a minute to ground, take a minute to pause, to know that everything is going to work out as it should do. And let's get into the chart. And I would like to also say there is no good and bad in astrology. There are conditions of the planets. How is the planet operating? But it's not like we can say Mars in Libra, bad. Venus in Virgo, bad. Um, Uranus in Gemini, yay, good. It's not Jupiter in Cancer, yay, good. We can say that because we can talk about the conditions being favorable, but I would say overall that there is no need to be down and gloomy about a particular placement and also about the aspects because things can really work in our favor when they are challenging. When the heat is on, things can get cooking, and sometimes that creates wonderful recipes when the heat is on high. It can also create a lot of spitting and spatting, but anyway, enough of the cooking metaphors. Let's get on. So we're looking at the new moon. The new moon is a time when the sun is shining bright and the moon is absorbed into the light of the sun. So we're not looking up and seeing a full moon or a half moon or a crescent moon. The moon is completely disappeared from the sky. And so the energies and the ethos and the theme of the moon, which is emotional and sensitive and reflective, it's being absorbed. So we're basically amplifying the themes of the sun with the underbelly of the moon engrossed in that theme. And for most people, this eclipse will be happening on Sunday, the sun's day. So I kind of think there's a double message in that for it to be very affirmative, very not action oriented, but very solar generating, very affirming and confident and resplendent and focused. Because the sun is bright, it gives us focus. Although everybody's having pretty sucky weather right now. Anyhow, the sun and the moon are at the 29th degree of the zodiac sign Virgo. So they are right at the end of their tour of Virgo. We're coming into autumn equinox. We're coming into Libra season, which is timed with the autumn equinox, with the sun going into fall, into the sign of Libra, where it's in fall. That's its condition of the sun. Whereas when it's in Aries, it's in exaltation, but it's in fall when it's in Libra, and the leaves are falling. Anyway, but we're at the very last breaths of Virgo season. And so this is the exit point. Okay, this is the doorway out. And so we have amassed loads of experience in Virgo. We are adept. We know what we're doing. We have been over this ground. Okay. The ruler of this new moon is Mercury in Libra. We've also got Mars in Libra at the very end of this sign as well. And Mars, its condition is that it's in detriment. It's not operating as sharply as it usually is because Libra is the sign of balance, equilibrium, and peacekeeping. And Mars likes to fight. Mars likes to get its little hatchet out or its little gears grinding. Mars likes to get its pickaxe out and start taking action. And in Libra, it's a little bit more surreptitious and kind of not indirect. It's not striking with full force. So we've got Sun, Moon, and Venus all in Virgo in the sign of harvest, productivity, efficiency. But we're being guided by Mercury in Libra, which is diplomatic, peacekeeping, with Mars having it's striding ahead. Mars is striven ahead to the 29th degree. That's probably not the correct English, but anyway, Mars has gone on ahead and powered through this space in our skies. So it's really interesting as an astrologer to kind of track these things and think, okay, how's Mars in Libra panned out for you? How's Mars in Libra panned out for me? What's been going on since Mars has been in Libra? Why? Because it gives us a clue of what the next month is going to have in store when the sun goes through Libra and Mercury is now guiding this eclipse, again, giving us reason to consider how that's working out for us. These two signs right next door to each other, Virgo and Libra, harvest and autumn, these two signs. So super interesting if you can track what the last month has been about in Virgo essence and what the next month is going to be about in Libra essence. Can you determine what your last month has been about and what the next one has been about? I was just thinking previously this evening about how connected I'm being, which is so on point for my Virgo third house, with people making introductions for me. People saying they would like to introduce me to some of a new friend in Tokyo, and also reconnecting with a school friend who's also making an introduction, and other people, wanting to reconnect and looking to reconnect. So, needless to say, my Virgo season has been Virgoing for this Cancer rising. So, what else have we got going on in this picture? Saturn is exactly opposite this new moon, and so is Neptune. But it's really striking to see Saturn because he's at 28, 27 degrees. We've got 2905, so it's a pretty tight opposition there. But there's also a pretty tight opposition from Neptune as well. So we're considering the vibe of Saturn and the vibe of Neptune. What is the vibe of Saturn? Saturn is our planet of boundaries, borders, limits, structure, the skin that I'm in, the boundary and the border that I draw between you and I, between me and the world. So this is my wall of skin. My skeleton is my wall. But it's also about the invisible boundaries that we have externally and internally, because Pisces is a very much of a psychic sign. It's a water sign. And so the boundaries that we've cultivated and the boundaries that we've created that are psychological could be really, really important. Our sensitivities could be very, very, I don't want to say overblown, but there could be a lot of emphasis on our feelings and so on because we've got a grand trine in water, and we've also got a grand trine in air. So let's do the water one first. We have got here the north node, and that's why it's an eclipse. We've got the north node and the south node. Got a north node here in Pisces with that Saturn at 28 degrees. We've got Jupiter in Cancer at 21 degrees, and we've got Black Moon Lilith and Juno creating this lovely big water trine, Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, forming that trine there. We've also got a grand trine in air. Let's look at that one. We've got Pluto, and I've included Pallas, Pluto and Pallas over there in Aquarius. We've got Uranus in Gemini, and then we've got that main ruling planet of the eclipse, Mercury. And so they are making a grand trine in air. You can see it here. Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, the grand trine in air. Pluto, Uranus, and our friend Mercury, the messenger. We've also got a mystic rectangle formed between the planets over here in water, at the end of Scorpio, at the end of Pisces and beginning of Aries. You can see the mystic rectangle. It's really popping, and that's why I've included the asteroids and Black Moon Lilith as I have, just because I found it super cool to see this beautiful mystic rectangle, which is what does Anne Ortley say about the mystic rectangle? I don't know. I haven't prepared that line, but needless to say, the mystic rectangle is a. Should I Google it quickly? Oh no, it's going to take too long. Anyway, mystic rectangle. Let's look it up. I'll put it in the newsletter. Anyway, another point to reckon with, another point to note about this eclipse is that Venus is square Uranus. We've got Venus over the past couple of days having made its square to Uranus. And Uranus is really playing quite a role here, right? He's here at 0 degree, it's 1 degree of Gemini. And Uranus, it's a cherished favorite planet of mine. I have it conjunct my moon. Uranus is the planet of shocks, surprises, cutting, excitement, flashes, genius of just differentness, unorthodox people, unusual people, disenfranchised people, people who are outliers, people who are on the fringes, people who are different. And, Uranus can be about stepping away from the norm and just cutting, being completely outside, or it can be about experiencing other people around us who are very, very alternative and unusual and weird and wonderful and different. I've seen sometimes when people come for readings, they'll have Uranus transiting their seventh house, which is a classic, like, let's meet an astrologer. Uranus is in my seventh house. I'm having a relationship with an astrologer. So, what does it all mean? What does it all mean? What does it all mean? It means that let's talk about the eclipse. We're having a new beginning moment. We're having a refresh. We're having a reset. However, because this is on the south node, to me, this has the word and the quality of being bittersweet. That's the word that kept on coming up for me when I was thinking about this. There is an acceptance or a cultivation of an acceptance around this area of the horoscope. And I'm going to go through examples as we go through each one. Bittersweet, I can't deny it. That's the word of choice for me. Bittersweet. And I like it because I always think of lemons when I think of things that are bittersweet. And I do think this Uranus is a bit of a, and Venus, Uranus, Venus together. That's kind of like where I'm getting that kind of, it's making me chuckle. Anyway, bittersweet, bittersweet, but also because the South Node is here with the eclipse, and there's this, acceptance that things aren't quite falling into place. In fact, we could be losing something, we could be missing something, we could be aware of a lack of something, or we could be letting things go. We could really be letting things go. Then, because the new moon is governed by Mercury, there's a second storyline. This is how I'm considering it, is that we've got this focus on this area, this great big focus on this area, and then we're also considering um, the another layer of the story, like another consideration of the layer of the story. Um, Pluto and Uranus, they are this long-term synergy, this long-term configuration with Neptune there as well, and Saturn's in there for a good little while as well. And Mercury is fleeting, but picking up on this energy. So it's a really interesting, exciting time. I also think the fact that Black Moon Lilith and Juno are here in Scorpio is really, really again allowing us to emphasize committed relationships. And it's just bringing such a richness to the storyline of the water trine, like the big grand trine in water. It's just really deepening things ahead of Scorpio season. Mars is going to really quickly move into Scorpio over the next couple of days. So it's just nice and neat. I'm liking this new moon a lot, the way it's kind of, to me, it's got a lot of semblance. A lot of things are falling into place. Let's go through the signs one by one, highlighting the new moon, new beginning, massive emphasis of energy and focus on one area of the chart. And conversely, where Saturn is coming in to say, pump the brakes, or, you know, you need to batten down the hatches in this area, or tap in a few more nails, tighten up this plug hole, and basically do due diligence around this. But it's very much to do with health and healing because Virgo is the earnest nurse and diligent doctor of the zodiac, and Pisces is the healer of the zodiac. So don't be surprised if there happens to be a theme going on for you that happens to be around restorative practices, things that you do to keep well, to stay recovered, to stay in your serenity and your equilibrium, and conversely, things that you're doing to stay well in your body, you know, managing and maintaining upkeep. Let's go through one by one. So, Aries and Aries rising, the new moon is in your house of well-being, health, employment settings, and day-to-day life. It's opposite Saturn in your house of unraveling and recovery and just letting go and catharsis and acceptance and dreams and really feeling checked out and just acceptance. And Neptune's there too. And it's ruled by Mercury in Libra, which is all about strong communications and connections. Your ruling planet Mars is there too. So there's this huge emphasis on talking to a partner, talking to another person, talking it through. There may be a new job, but you got to talk to your partner about it. There may be a plan to keep on top of things or to maintain, but you're also needing to discuss it and discuss next steps with a partner. And it so plays into social connection, community with these planets in the 11th and the 3rd for Aries, Aries rising. I'm going to just do it. I'm going to actually put this into equal house so everybody can just, sorry, whole sign, so everybody can see where they're at. Let's go. Let's do it that way. So we've just had the Aries, Aries rising. You can see there, I've adjusted it. So it's 6th house. So if you're familiar with the houses, play along and read the chart together. Let's do it. Taurus rising, you can see here the new moon moment is taking place. The new moon is taking place in your 5th house of children, fertility, play, love, celebration, games, hobbies, and joy, your enjoyment. But as I say, there's a lack here, there's a releasing quality, And there is the firming up with Saturn in your 11th house of community. So for the Taurus risings, they may be feeling that there is this emphasis on friends, having to check in with friends or make sure that their community networks are, I don't want to use the word solid because it's Pisces, but are um, that they're tethered, that they're tethered to something. You know, it's like knowing that you've got that community, knowing that you've got key people in your community that you can rely on in some way, and that you're kind of cohesive with members of your community, members of your industry, if you're part of a wellness industry, if you're part of a team at work and your network, your community and your friends. Your ruling planet is now in your fifth house, so expect there to be this massive emphasis on play dates, on pleasure, on your own happiness, on your sexuality, your joy, creative self-expression, but also perhaps an acknowledgement that it's not that fun. You know, maybe it's not that fun. Maybe there is some hard work that's also entering in for the Taurus risings. Gemini. Gemini risings have got Saturn at the top of their chart, guiding them to prominence, guiding them to be visible and authoritative and responsible in the world. Gemini risings, you are being called up to show up in your career as a parent, as a responsible, mature adult, as the one person that's got the car keys or the responsible driver or whatever. And at the same time, the new moon is taking place in your fourth house of home, land, lineage, family. But I wonder for the Gemini risings, if there's some little bit about home life that's kind of not feeling as safe and secure. And so this represents a new beginning, but also like the opportunity to just reset and think, okay, well, what kind of a family or a home or a property do I want, given I know these other things about this? How is that landing with you, Gemini rising? Like, what is it about your property, your home, where you live? Like, what's currently going on and what's calling for newness, like a new approach? And then conversely or additionally, the ruler of this new moon is Mercury, your ruling planet in your fifth house in Libra, in an air sign. And it's just made this grand trine to all the other planets, Uranus and Pluto. So you could be feeling massively inspired. You could be feeling homesick, but also hugely playful and allowing your home to be inspired by your creativity, by your lover, by your needs, your wants, your desires. So it's interesting. Do you see how it's playing out? It's the career, the home, and the creative impulses. And that's not even going into everything else. And then just to go back a second to Taurus, Mercury's in your sixth house of wellness and well-being. So you could have this major emphasis on play or children or your inner child and happiness, but it's being informed by your job or your work or how you need to keep on top of a routine. So, for example, you may have really big awareness around your kids, but you're also the reason why you need a reset is because of your job or your health. Cancer risings, like me, you've got this new moon in your third house of siblings, connection, rapport, communication skills, which includes writing, language, and projects concerning your ability to communicate. Now, you may have lost or have a lack of connection to a close friend or a writing project. I have lost two writing projects in the last 2 weeks, I would say, or the last 21 days, I lost one. And this week, within the last 3 days, I lost a second one, which is totally, I'm not crying about it. I'm not worrying about it. But it's so interesting that it's diminished. It's been released during this third house transit. And conversely, Saturn in the house of wisdom, growth, publishing and faraway journeys and so on. Saturn in this house is saying, nail down your expertise. Make sure you know what you think you know. Just make sure, with Saturn there, that you are the expert that you think you are, or that you've got the subject matter, or your travel plans, or your experiences that are connected to long distance cultures, people, experiences, and all that spiritual matter. Make sure you've got that down pat. But certainly, it's like a stamp of having to make sure that you're the journey you're on, that you know what you're doing, but also this lack of connection. So even though there's a massive focus on new friends for me and like being connected to my local area, it's guided by Mercury in the fourth house, which is to do with where I've landed, like where I live, my property, my home, and my roots. So, another thing that's happening for me is that I'm learning Japanese. So, it's very much about the focus on language that's connected to my homeland now, Japan. Japan is now where I live, my homeland. Can you believe I've almost been here a year and I'm enrolled at school. I'm learning the language and it's so on my mind at the moment. It's so fascinating. I'm like, learning the hiragana and like translating every time I'm seeing signposts. I'm like, let me like put this in my notepad so I know how to remember yo and all these different words and letters and so on. So that's for the Cancer risings, communication underpinned by home and family. And then conversely, the journey that you're on, making sure that you've got everything down pat. For the Leo risings, money, income, and your earned income and your projects that fuel you with confidence and rewards and that feel rewarding and that are compensating you either with money or some material possession could be a little bit charged. You could be feeling like you are weighing up financial outgoings or income and thinking about revenue sources as well, just like me with the writing projects. You could have like a payment plan that needs to be reviewed. And then also you know, this is also an eclipse, so the sun is the ruler of your ascendant, so it's extra special for Leo and Cancer. I'll just say that. But for Leo rising's the eighth house as well. Saturn has re-entered your eighth house. So this could be you tightening up the hatches or putting plans in place that really cement and solidify the way you work with a partner, the way that you're contracted, the way that you consider your alliances, and really lean on other people and depend on other people and depend on your collaboration, depend on your merger and perhaps feeling a tiny bit less confident in your own capabilities, perhaps less inclined to, um, be picking up the check solo and more keen on picking up the check, and saying, actually, can we split this one and go Dutch? Because it's good to share sometimes. And this is being informed by Mercury now in your third house of local connections and communications. Mercury's just made this trine to Pluto in your seventh house. So this is very much about relationships and community for you, your network, key people, key relationships, very important now, Leo. So taking a fresh approach to how you communicate based on what you have and what you are due to earn. Virgo risings. This is a new moon in your zodiac sign. And yesterday I was talking to a Virgo sun and a Virgo rising, and they asked me, what should we be doing on this new moon? And I said, take it easy, be sure to ground, and maybe have a really nice body scrub because for Virgos, this is happening in the house of self and identity and persona and personal life. So it's very personal. It could feel very personal. So give yourself a body scrub, have a nice shower, clean and clear, and just enjoy making it rain tears of happiness from the shower. And at the same time, relationships are a massive deal. Relationships are a big deal because you've got Saturn hanging out in your opposite sign, in your house of relationships, really drilling home to you the lessons that you've experienced through your relationships. And I follow a girl called Taffy, who you might have heard of on Instagram, and she's a Virgo rising. And a couple of weeks ago, with the Pisces full moon, she was commenting on how some of her relationships have seemed really, I think she used the word slippery, or she was saying like how you can spot fake friends or something like that. And it was very much obviously connected to her seventh house of relationships and just how befuddling and how confusing and how foggy relationships can be because of this Neptunian activity that you've had, because of this Pisces seventh house that you've had. So for the Virgo risings, it might seem really magical and romantic and heightened, but also it could seem like there's a bit of a reality check going on, a bit of a hard knock life going on. Saturn is the planet of, restrictions and limitations. But at the same time, it's a new beginning for you. It's a fresh start for you. So it's about embracing autonomy with the awareness of other and side serving of financial considerations, Virgo. How do I like to make my money? What have I learned lately about myself and my money, myself and my approach to earning a living? How am I now thinking about money, and how is that informing what I need to know about myself, right? So that's an important one for the Virgo risings. Libra risings, rest, digest, chill, take it easy, slow the hell down, Libra risings, and gain closure, excavate, let go, right? I'm going to give you two examples. One, my friend who's a Libra rising who has quit smoking. The 12th house is how we come undone. Like what is going to take me out? Cigarettes, drugs, stealing, cheating, all these things that can make me feel so debilitated, gossiping, eating unhealthily, workaholism, being a workaholic. So basically, it is time for Libra to let go of vices, vices that affect their personal physical body and their identity. I mean, that's massive, Libra rising. You're having Mercury in your first house, which is about connecting to who you are. You've got Pluto in your fifth, you've got Uranus in your ninth. You're on this exciting new journey. You're like opening up doorways. You're just changing your orientation, your ability to anchor and plug into things. But at the same time, you are moving through a passage of the dark night of the soul as well, like really letting go, purging, catharsis, closure. Who else is a Libra sun? Charlie Kirk. And of course, this is the last letting go with a burial, right? Like this is the funeral. And he actually does have Venus at 29 degrees. So this eclipse does happen to be on his personal planet there. So super, super apt as a Virgo, as a Libra, excuse me, as a Libra, having the doorway, the closure. It is the endings. Like the 12th house is the last house of the zodiac. So it's like bye bye to smoking, bye bye to bad habits, bye bye to my whole life journey as one passes on to the next. The 12th house can also be the house of operations that happen via other people. So it can be the house that other people are doing the work, and we are merely a bystander as we get operated on. We're anesthetized, and somebody else is doing the work. So for Libra risings, you could also be undergoing some kind of operation or anticipating in limbo, waiting, watching. So if you have any Libra rising friends, do look out for them too. I'll also say Kim Kardashian is Libra Sun, Sag rising, and she's also closing down her one of her companies, letting go of an iteration of one of her businesses. But I will also include her on the Sag rising. Conversely, Saturn in your sixth house, what day-to-day practices, health practices are you really cementing? What have you got on lockdown, domestic or physical upkeep? You know, this is a double message because you've got the Mercury in your first house, which is your house of physical body, the ruler of this eclipse. Plus, you've got the Saturn North Node there in the sixth, and you've been having Mars go through your first house, which brings a lot of other people's attention to you, Libra rising. Scorpio rising. For you, this new moon, you can ignore the fact that it's gone into Libra there. That'll be on Monday. Monday we'll have a change of scene, won't we? Yes, we will. The sun will go into Libra too. The sun and the moon for this solar eclipse, Scorpio, are in your 11th house of community, friends, cheerleaders, teammates, friendly supporters, networks, and community. And so you might be having awareness around your group of friends, and you might be having a solidification or a very, very stark, hard look at your love life, your children, your fertility, your creativity, and what it is that you enjoy, your happiness. And the North Node in Pisces really wants you to acknowledge your happiness, acknowledge your children, but also really deep dive into awareness around what you know makes you happy and how hard you've worked to find that happiness. Saturn there for the last, 3 years, basically since March of 2023. So two and a large chunk of a year, really challenging people, especially if you've been having your Saturn return, challenging the Scorpio risings to take their artwork or their craft or their creativity or their sexuality or the children seriously and their love life and how they shag. Anyway, 11th house is the community and the collective. And I do know of one Scorpio friend who has lost a member of her community very sadly. And so I'm thinking of her as well, with this South Node of exits, right? Who have I lost from my community during this solar eclipse, during this eclipse season? Who has been lost. And I believe Charlie Kirk's wife is a Scorpio as well. So obviously her, a very big figure in her community is obviously passed as well. So that's worth thinking about with that South Node there in the 11th house, or shifting ideas about friendships, shifting ideas of what the community should look like for the Scorpio risings. And it's guided by this Mercury in the 12th house of grief, loss, closure, catharsis. So changes, transitions, acceptance as well for the Scorpio rising. So really quite deep for a few of our signs, like for a few of our zodiac signs, they're really soul searching. Sag rising, Sagittarius risings. For you, the solar eclipse is happening in your 10th house up here, the top of the chart, the 10th house of public image, vocation, visibility. Oh, and I just want to mention that also Kris Jenner is a Virgo rising and she has a whole new face, right? And it's got her a collaboration with MAC Cosmetics, money. So Virgo, new identity, money, new identity affiliated with the second house. Anyway, Sag rising, it's all about your aspirations, your goals, and maybe allowing a few goals to no longer be a part of what your to-do list is, right? Because Sagittarius rising could be having a major focus on their success, their accomplishments, how they get to the top, how they appear successful, accomplished, notorious, knowledgeable, authoritative, a member that's, somebody to be looked up to and like, oh, well done, you're so successful, you're so well done, you're married, you've got a kid, you're doing so well, you're such a success in the world. But they might think, I really am focused on what it means to be a success, but I did just, miss out on that job title, or Bill from the office got the job title instead of me. That's Sagittarius. Or, I'm never going to be CEO. I'm never going to be, that bitch. I'm never going to be, that person. Or that ship has sailed. There could almost be a sentiment that like they're not quite who they thought they were, or like they're missing out on something and letting it go as well. South Node. And so Kim Kardashian is a Sag rising, and she has consolidated her brand. This is the house of branding as well. And she's let go of, I think it's part of Skims, or like the beauty, I think it's the skin brand, something to do with the beauty part of her brand. She's let go of it. Expectations around success, who I should be, what I should achieve, what I should achieve. And then again, it's ruled by Mercury in the 11th house of friends, community, networks, peers, and group work. So it could be that you're pivoting towards the community, and to be a fellow among fellows, a friend among friends, and therefore letting go of aspirations because actually you're more interested in participating among your friendships. And again, Saturn is at the base and roots of your chart, so where you live could be also topical, property could be topical, making sure due diligence is being done in your space. So tightening up the screws on the light switches, or checking that everything's in order in your domain, in your space, in your homeland, in your country, or in your property, in your house, in your living room, in your bed. So that's Sagittarius risings. And also these conversations being really important with the partner, because Mercury is your relationship planet. And so you're plugged into social media, close connections, friends, community. Could be a really, really big deal over the next month. Sag rising, your network. Capricorn rising. Interesting one. Okay, so we've got Saturn is your ruling planet, Capricorn risings. It's your ruler, and it's just come back into your third house of neighbors, close connections, mindset, thinking, language, communications. So, what are you thinking, Capricorn, about your ideas, your mindset, how you process information? Where do you get your news from, Capricorn? What is going on with your thought process and the way you think? And how are you making sure that you know your stuff, and you are where you need to be with that, with your thinking? That's Capricorn, with the Pisces Saturn coming back in. And then conversely, the Virgo solar eclipse is in your ninth house of long distance connection, long distance travel. You might be consumed or very focused on a journey, a philosophy, a culture, a place, a person who's foreign, an idea. And you might be having to let go of something about your framework or your expectations around your belief system. So you might be having to let go of the idea that you know what's up, and letting go of a thought process, or some anticipation around a journey, or something that you know as a specialism, some expertise, something like that, perhaps. And then this is informed by or underpinned, or there's another storyline around your career. So if you think about the knowledge that you need to cultivate to be an expert, to stand up in a position of authority, if you're thinking about your reputation, how you want to be seen, how you want to come across, what do you need to know in order to come across as a success? Who do you need to be? What are the qualities that you need to cultivate? So, say for example, somebody wants to come across as a beauty queen or as somebody really, really um, aesthetically beautiful. They need to learn their tools, right? You need to learn about your makeup brushes. And the Virgo South node there might be saying, okay, reset your makeup palette and let go of a few colors you know don't work for you, right? That's a superficial one. Another one could be that you are entering into a new philosophy, a new life philosophy around cultural, investigations. So, like, even the race issues that we've had kicking up lately. And you need to be woke to get the pay raise, right? You need to know about other cultures in order to be the top of the tree. Like the person, the boss, basically, like this 10th house. You need to check in with your ideas and you need to perhaps have some flexibility around your thinking, but also, meantime, putting in measures that allow you to really solidify your own ideas. I hope that makes sense. Capricorn, Capricorn rising. Then you've got Aquarius, Aquarius risings. Oh, interesting one for the Aquarius, Aquarius risings, because it's kicking up matters of trust, reciprocity, and how we come together to share or pay. So this is the house of joint finances. So Saturn's in your house of personal finances. So there could be a firming up around your role, the job that you do, how you make a living, right? So you're all gung ho with that. You're like set, invested in your financial position. But conversely, you could be having to accept circumstances around a joint deal. So that could be a marriage partner, a business partner, or somebody you rely on. Could even be a workman in who you've trusted to do some a job for you, or there may be somebody that you've paid them, they've paid you, some kind of enmeshment with financials, right? And you might have to let go of an investment, right? You might have to accept that some money's like not coming back round, or get a completely new idea about working with people and collaborating and being vulnerable. Like this is the eighth house is very much, it's a house of financial gains, but it's also about how we work with other people. And the way that we work with other people is to show vulnerability and to collaborate in a way that sees us, taking a chance to merge, to unify, to borrow, to loan, to come together. So get some new ideas around that because Mercury's in your house of higher thought, higher education, visionary plans, travel, far-sightedness, optimistic thinking. And so for Aquarius, Aquarius risings, take a leap of faith mentally, like get outside your comfort zone and explore other options. Like, this is the time to think differently and think creatively, very much think creatively. Take a bit of a leap of faith. Then for the Pisces, Pisces rising, it's the last sign. It's the last sign. I'll shut up soon. It's Pisces, Pisces rising. You are having this solar eclipse in your house of one-to-one relationships. This is a brand new beginning for your unions, your marriage relationships, and for how you come together with a significant other, guided by Mercury in your house of trust and collaborations and collaborative feats. And yeah, weddedness, intermeshment, intermingleness. And at the same time, Saturn has re-entered your first house. So you could be taking your boundaries and your identity seriously. You could be really quite candid and quite cut and dry about what you need to do to stand in your sense of self and to really bring it home to you, Pisces. Like, this is what I feel like my advice is for the Pisces rising. Stand in your power, stand in your sovereignty. Like, draw the drawbridge, draw an invisible wall around yourself and contain yourself. You have all of the knowledge and all of the ability to fill your own cup and make yourself happy. And yes, acknowledge other people and what they're able to do for you. And collaborate. You know, you've probably been through the last few weeks a real reckoning of trust and betrayal and experiencing how other people are able to manage things for you or how they're not, you know, and how they show up or how they don't, you know. And so this South Node there may be saying, let go of a partner, let go, let go. And so yes, it's the time for Pisces rising to bring it back to themselves. And then there's one person I know who has had a couple of professional and personal situations where they have just said, you know what, I'm just going to do it myself. And there could be some travel coming up that makes that possible. Somebody I know who said to their partner, fine, I'll go by myself, you know. So there's a lot there. We've just got that lovely ongoing trine between Pluto and Uranus, just doing all sorts of stuff. And what I would like to say is that Uranus in Gemini is really, I don't know about you, but for me, I'm seeing the duplicitous nature of Gemini in full force. So I don't know about you, but my Instagram feed is constantly showing me two men opposite sides of the table, whether it's that Jordan guy, can't remember, I think his name's Jordan Peele, is it? I'm not sure. But there's all these debaters, debate. My God, shut up, shut up. You know, these two Gemini polarity opposite guys. And, you know, Gemini is the twins. Gemini is the two brothers, symbiotic, you know, it's like the two brothers together. And Gemini is the sign of connection and youthfulness and spiritedness and duplicity and communication. And all I'm seeing is these two jabber guys, you know, and obviously as a Cancer rising, Gemini is my 12th house. It's an area of undoing. So I could definitely go down some rabbit holes watching these debates, and it's not necessarily healthy for me. So I'm detoxing from the debates. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of this, and then Pluto in Aquarius being the internet, of course. Pluto in Aquarius being a transformation of our airwaves. Anyway, I'm getting tired. Need to shut up myself. But yeah, just be on the lookout for that. This 8 year cycle that we're almost stuck into of Uranus in Gemini, the 2 decade cycle of Pluto in Aquarius, revolutionizing our airspace and our airwaves with the internet and all things governed by Aquarius. And those two working together. So this tech bros and debaters and all of this really kicking off as major collective themes. And Mercury in Libra playing into that because Mercury is the ruler of this solar eclipse. And it's all about, you know, a diplomatic tone of voice, a peacekeeping tone of voice, an ethos or a discourse or a stream of consciousness that wants to play both sides of the fence almost and be diplomatic and be fair to everyone. So it feels like any plans that we're making now, whether it's a health plan, whether it's a professional plan or a plan to stay well, it seems to be underpinned by this knowingness that we kind of have to, for our own peace of mind, stay level-headed. So that's my message to you today. Stay level-headed, stay in the the scales of equilibrium as we tip into equinox, as we tip into autumn and Libra season tomorrow. What a time, what a time. Thank you for being with me if you've stayed all the way to the end. I'm so grateful to just be able to show up. That was the message I got today. The sacred message that came to me was, I just need to show up. So that's what I'm doing. And I love you guys for being with me on the earth at the same time and for buying into astrology. I'm available for readings. Big hugs. Mwah.